Hello, TFO family, and welcome to another Musician of the Week interview. And here with me today is Shawn Karson. How are you doing, Shawn?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Staying warm for the most part. For any of you who don't know Shawn yet, he is in Texas right now, which is experiencing all kinds of bizarre weather and circumstances. So, and you were telling me before we started this that you have a water shortage and stuff, but you feel like you're going to come out of it okay?
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. And if this wasn't a pandemic and if the state was prepared, I would be loving this weather right now. I mean, I was so tired of the Florida weather and I'm sure the dog is cute.
Yeah, sorry.
That's more than okay. Um, but normally I would like love this. Like this, as rare as this is, I'm like a kid in a candy shop when it comes to cold weather and snow. So um, it's too bad that we're in the circumstances we're in now. So
Yeah, for sure. We'll continue to stay safe and warm.
thank
Uh,
you.
we're thinking of you. You're pretty new to TFO. How long have you played in TFO?
I haven't really played in TFO yet. It's only been a year, and my only association with it was doing the online orchestras, which was at the time, since the pandemic was so, I guess, fresh. Um, it was so nice to just have something to do again and see the final product. And um, so I really look forward to potentially being back in person with everybody. And um, I think I can speak for many musicians when I say I think we're all starved of
Yeah.
live music, and any chance we get is just medicine for the heart.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel you there. I'm always I'm like trying to keep myself going and motivated. It's really tough right now. Um, so I know like you've never played in TFO in person, but I know you probably came to TFO through somebody else, somebody who you knew had experienced TFO. Um, since you don't have like a favorite thing about TFO yet, what are you most excited about experiencing at TFO?
Well, from the many friends and colleagues I have who are associated with TFO and have been there, um, and I already got a good sense of it last summer. It's the sense of camaraderie and community too, and um, I think more than just the professional relationships, I think it looks like everybody builds everlasting friendships, and it just makes the experience that much more rewarding when you're playing with good friends and you're just having fun.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. That um it's so cool that you say that like already in your stage because I think that's what a lot of the veterans would also say about TFO.
mhm.
Um, so that makes me happy. And so we kind of already touched on this a little bit, but can you tell us a little bit more about where you are living and working for the rest of the year when you're not participating in TFO?
Yeah. So I this past July I moved to Austin, Texas. I started grad school here. I did my undergraduate degree at Florida State University and loved it there. So go Knowles. I
Oh
understand you
no.
got your doctorate there. um, so it is weird starting grad school in a pandemic. And I guess under normal circumstances, it would be I would have more students and there'd be freelancing opportunities. So, but now I am a private lessons instructor, and I have a majority of my students here in Austin, and I have some from literally all around the world, like one guy in Saipan, and then some people in Louisiana and Florida. So that's cool. I'm selling reads all over the country to students and non-students. So that's been some decent money. And then luckily, speaking of medicine for the heart, I have been going back to my old orchestras subbing on contrabassoon. So luckily, I was either going to get a professional bassoon and get $40,000 in debt, or take a quarter of that debt out and get a contrabassoon that plays really well. So I decided to invest in the contrabassoon, and it's already been paying off, and it plays really well. The contrabassoonist in Dallas completely overhauled it, and adjusted all these tone holes. So it's just a beautiful instrument.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So for any of our audience members that aren't familiar with the contrabassoon, it's like a big wooden tube that's rolled up in circles. You don't happen to have it with you, do you?
If you want to, like, this would be a good time to maybe like cut real quick. I can get
Yeah,
it out if you like. Yeah. Should I get my
do it.
bassoon out
I would.
too?
What?
Should I get my bassoon out just for comparison purposes
Yeah,
too?
that I
Okay.
think that would be awesome. Cool, we're back.
Great. So you wanted me to talk a little about bassoon and contrabassoon. So I have Big Bertha, and I haven't named my bassoon, but why not? So I have my bassoon and contrabassoon behind me.
That's awesome.
So if I were to hear my bassoon, yeah, it seems. I mean, it's normal. It's just a typical bassoon. Then what I love doing, I love playing contrabassoon. I know some people see it as a chore, other people love it. People are indifferent. So here's our contrabassoon, my contrabassoon. So
that's so cool. So
yeah.
it's obviously bigger than a regular bassoon, but how much bigger is it?
I believe it's twice as long. I should probably know this, but I mean, it folds over itself multiple times. So the bassoon is actually should be twice as long as it actually is, but it bends at a U-tube at the end of the bassoon, so it's folded in half. Now the contrabassoon, you can literally see where it bends all over the place. So
that is super cool.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever gotten like an up close in person experience with the contrabassoon at TFO before. It's a treat, I think, for everybody.
Well, if all goes according to plan, I will bring it, and it'll be my jam.
Awesome.
So.
Very cool. Well, thank you for showing us the contrabassoon and comparing it to your bassoon.
That's a weird old thing, yeah.
Yeah, right. I think probably in Branson, people don't see bassoons very much in general. It's not a very big country music star. None of our instruments really are, except for maybe violin, percussion.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. What happened to you and your work and momentum when things started to shut down due to COVID-19 last year?
Good question. Well, I graduated from undergrad last year, so I didn't have a graduation. I didn't even intend on walking at graduation. I had a fairly busy gigging schedule. I was going to play bassoon and contra on Rite of Spring in Georgia somewhere instead of graduating, so that was fun. And then everything got canceled. I lost a lot of money in performing opportunities, and then graduation got canceled. So it was very boring. There was a lot of time for self-reflection. I lived with 2 other bassoonists at that time, so that was fun. Lots of reed experimenting, the occasional duo and trio. And then, well, let me back up. So yeah, I was financially hurt, like all of us, and we were kind of shocked with what happened. So I was also getting ready to go to grad school. I had to make my grad school decision as well, and that was tough. I had a lot of very good offers from great schools. So it was just a time of big change, and a time of big change, if that makes sense. With the pandemic really screwing things up, I already had to route my life somewhere else.
Yeah, so it would have already been like a big change for you without the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ugh, that's rough, man. And in this last year, 2020, and down the beginning of 2021 has presented a lot of challenges for all of us in ways other than the COVID-19 pandemic. Has your life at all been affected by the civil unrest that's been happening in the US?
Yeah, I can speak for a lot of us, and we were talking just about what certain leaders were doing during this wonderful snowstorm. In all aspects of the civil unrest, I'm just disappointed, and I wish, if I were to put it simply, I'm tired of hate,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. So have I been affected? I'm lucky to say not like personally or as much. I have all of my friends, a large majority of my friends and colleagues have been affected, and it's just terrible to see. So I've tried to do what I can and um, look at all of these resources. And um, I personally haven't witnessed anything crazy in Tallahassee. I mean, there were a few protests and they were peaceful, and that was great. And it was great to witness that. I'm from a community, my hometown, where they see things differently there.
Mhm.
And discipline. So I think I'll leave it at that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
totally
maybe
fair.
I'm beating around the bush, but yeah.
No, I think we get it for sure.
Mhm.
Um, do you think like music and the arts can provide any kind of like healing from what we've experienced?
There's a wonderful resource in our bassoon studio at UT where it's just a gigantic database of composers from whether they're women, LGBT, any marginalized composers, which is great. And I know I can speak for the UT Austin Bassoon Studio um, when I say we're all learning music from that database, and we're discovering so much great music. Um, I just started a woodwind quintet here in Austin and in my garage. It's pretty funny. But we have heating and air conditioning in the garage, and it works out
Perfect.
really well. It's just really booming. I tried recording excerpts there the other day, and Marriage of Figaro was fortissimo the entire time. So that won't happen. Um, so we're looking at repertoire from that database, and we're just trying to not worship old dead white guys. So
For sure. I think we're all trying to learn how to do that.
yeah.
I went to like a virtual meeting with an organization that advocates for new music in the country, and they were doing like a Kansas City specific thing, and I was the only woman in the whole group of
Yeah.
composers, and it was just an interesting experience because they kept like singling me out. They're like, well, you're the only woman here, so
Mhm.
it's such a strange time. It's good, but it's also bizarre. um
Yeah.
well, cool. I think that's awesome that you guys are branching out more, and I think we're going to try and do that at TFO this summer. Already programmed we programmed several pieces like orchestral musics by female composers and by
Mhm.
Joseph Bologna's Chevalier de Saint George, who is also known as the Black Mozart. So, um,
Fantastic.
yeah, I think that'll be fun. Cool. So, I think I know what the answer to this question is going to be, but I'm going to ask anyway. Um, do you miss performing and teaching in person?
I wrote in all capital letters, absolutely. Um, and you know, I'm lucky to do a little bit of performing now. At UT Austin, the only ensemble is this new music chamber ensemble, which has been postponed due to many things in the area. But I'm hopeful that we might be able to do it, and we have a lot of great rep coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And then just playing with people, like my new quintet. My roommates, one plays flute and one plays saxophone, so we played some trios last semester, and that was
Oh,
fun. Played a bassoon in a bassoon octet on contra standing up. I don't recommend it, but that was a lot of fun. We did that in the park. Some guy, I had the contra bassoon case open, and a guy threw a $10 bill saying, "Hey, thanks, man, you guys sound great." So I felt like a guitarist busking at the beach or something. So
yes.
yeah, no, I absolutely miss it. Now the thing is, for there are pros and cons for teaching. The format I think sucks. With the inconsistency in internet, but knowing people who are in middle school and high school and people who are just young, sometimes they
Right.
forget to have lessons, sometimes they're just late. So for me, I can just sit exactly where I am right now, playing scales or something until they show up, or if they don't show up,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not driving 30 minutes away.
Right.
So that's selfishly thinking. But and there are a lot of great things to do. Like I just mute myself when my students play, or I played in a master class with 10 minutes notice last week, which was terrifying. Beethoven 4 of all things.
Oh, Lord.
I had a heart attack. I don't know how I did it, but it went well.
You had the big fast excerpt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the race note. But in master classes, I think a really nice thing we can do now, if there's a guest artist and there's someone who's performing the master class, all of the participants can essentially participate. If the clinician says, or the guest musician says, "Oh, try this out," I'll mute myself. Sometimes I won't even have my camera on, and I'll try it out for myself. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is great." We can't do that in a concert hall. We just have to sit there, be silent, and try to remember or write it down in our notes.
Yeah.
So, I think in a post-pandemic world, I think we can mesh the two and benefit from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you were saying earlier that you have been able to teach people all over the world too with this format. That's super cool.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I'm teaching a guy in Saipan later today. I think it'll be 8 a.m. for him, and it'll be 4 p.m. for me, and he loves it. And I love it too. I learn a lot, and it's great. It's just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I taught a guy in Turkey for a few weeks last fall, and it was just so amazing to be able to do that with people on the other side of the planet. Yeah,
that is super cool. I think that's definitely like one of the big pros of the, like, I don't know, music world, is that it opens up a lot of opportunities to collaborate and work with people all over the world, because it's just as easy as working with someone in town.
Yeah.
At this point. Well, that's awesome. So what would it mean to you to perform in person with TFO this summer?
In all capital letters, I said the absolute world, medicine for the heart. and that's true. I know I have many friends in TFO, like I already said. And last week I performed with someone who's involved with TFO in an orchestra. I told him to tell you I said hi. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But you spoke to him last week. I'll leave the name out. But it was just so fun, and it was just so fun reconnecting with old friends and making new friends. And and I was playing contrabassoon on Shostakovich's cello concerto, and that's just a fun thing to just spit out on. So it's just so fun. And you know, if it could be done safely, and if the worst case scenario was that I break even with money, I think it's worth it. And I didn't lose any money. Well, maybe now I did with the whole snowpocalypse, but it was just so fun. It's seeing old colleagues. So playing in TFO this summer, what would be absolutely fun. I mentioned I have many friends in there, and I have just nothing but fond memories with them. So I think it would just be so fun.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to having you this summer for our 10th anniversary season, starting June 13th. Yeah, that's when everyone is expected in town. I'm going to remember my own dates one of these days.
I got to memorize that too.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Shawn, and for talking with me about everything that's going on in the meetings of TFO. Thank you all for watching. If you are interested, we are still raising money for our 2021 10th anniversary season. You'll find a link in the description of this video if you would like to donate. Otherwise, we will see you next time.